At 78, Sally Field finally tells the truth about Robin Williams. Sally Field was born Sally Margaret Field on November 6, 1946 in Pasadena, California. Field grew up in a family that loved movies and TV shows. Her mom, Margaret Field, was an actress, and her stepdad, Jock Mahoney, was also a famous actor and someone who did dangerous stunts in movies. These early experiences and living in sunny California helped her love acting and taught her what it was like to work in movies and TV shows. Field first became famous in the 1960s when she got a big part in a fun TV show called GT from 1965 to 1966. Even though the show only lasted 1 year, people loved watching her play a happy, young teenager that everyone could relate to. She then got another famous TV job in The Flying Nun from 1967 to 1970, where she played Sister Bertrielle, a funny nun whose special hat let her fly around. Even though the idea was silly and sometimes made it hard for her to get other jobs, Field was so charming and funny that people loved the show, and she became one of TV's most loved stars of that time. As her career kept going, Field wanted to stop playing the same types of characters she had been playing in her early years. She really wanted people to think of her as a serious actress, so she went to acting school and studied with a famous teacher named Lee Strasberg. Her hard work paid off when she started getting harder and more important roles, showing everyone how talented she really was. Her acting in a TV movie called Sibylle in 1976, where she played a young woman with a mental illness that made her act like different people, was a huge moment for her. The role needed her to show lots of strong emotions, and Field's brave, honest acting won her an Emmy Award and got great reviews from critics. It proved she was a serious actress who could handle tough roles and changed her whole career forever. The late 1970s and 1980s were amazing years for Field when she became one of Hollywood's most respected leading actresses. She won her first Oscar for Best Actress for her role in Norma Ray in 1979, where she played a working-class Southern woman who becomes passionate about helping workers fight for their rights. The movie not only showed how strong she was as an actress, but also touched people's hearts with its powerful message about standing up for what's right. Just a few years later, Field won her second Oscar for Best Actress for her role in Places in the Heart in 1984. It was a touching story that took place during the Great Depression. Her speech when she won the award included the now famous words, "You like me right now, you like me." This moment has become one of the most remembered speeches in Oscar history. Over the years, Field kept working in movies, TV shows, and stage plays, proving she could do anything and was dedicated to acting. She was in many different movies, including Smokey and the Bandit in 1977, Steel Magnolias in 1989, Mrs. Doubtfire in 1993, and Forrest Gump in 1994. Each time she made people remember her because she could make her characters feel warm, relatable, and deep. On TV, she kept being amazing in shows like Brothers and Sisters from 2006 to 2011, winning another Emmy Award. She also proved herself on Broadway stages, acting in plays like The Glass Menagerie, where critics said she was incredible to watch. Her later career has been just as impressive. In 2012, she got great reviews for playing Mary Todd Lincoln in Steven Spielberg's movie Lincoln, a role that got her nominated for another Oscar. Even in her 70s, she has kept working hard, showing she still loves telling stories and acting. Besides her career success, Field has also been loved for being real, honest, and strong in her personal life. She has been open about the hard times she's faced, including times when she didn't believe in herself, the pressure of being famous, and problems in relationships. In 2018, she wrote a book about her life called In Pieces, where she honestly talked about her life journey, the good and bad times in her career, and her personal struggles, including difficult family situations and her own path to understanding herself. The book was praised for being raw and honest and emotional, just like her acting. Sally Field's personal life has often made people curious, not only because she's a famous actress, but also because her relationships and family took interesting paths alongside her career. Field got married for the first time in 1968 when she married Stephen Craig. At that time, Field was still starting her acting career, having become known for her big role in Gidget and later in The Flying Nun. Her marriage to Craig gave her something steady in her life while she was dealing with the crazy world of Hollywood. Even though their relationship had problems that led to them separating in 1973 and getting divorced in 1975, the years they spent together were very important for Field because that's when she became a mom for the first time. The couple had 2 sons, and both of them ended up working in creative jobs, showing their mom's artistic influence. Their first child, Peter Craig, was born in 1969. Peter grew up surrounded by storytelling and movies, and when he became an adult, he used that inspiration to become a writer of novels and movie scripts. His work has been recognized in Hollywood, where he has written or helped write major movies, including The Town, 12 Strong, and Top Gun: Maverick. Their second son, Eli Craig, born in 1972, also inherited a love for movies, though he liked performing and directing more. Eli has become known for his work as both an actor and filmmaker, with credits that include directing the popular horror comedy Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. For Field, being a mother was always a huge part of who she was, and she often had to balance the demands of Hollywood with being devoted to raising Peter and Eli, making sure her children had as normal a childhood as possible, even though they were always in the spotlight. After her marriage to Craig ended, Field's personal life took another turn when she started dating actor Burt Reynolds in 1976. Their romance quickly caught everyone's attention, partly because they were one of Hollywood's most glamorous couples of the late 1970s and early 1980s. Field and Reynolds weren't just dating, but they also worked together professionally, acting together in 4 movies: Smokey and the Bandit in 1977, its sequel, Smokey and the Bandit 2 in 1980, the dark comedy The End in 1978, and the action comedy Hooper in 1978. Their chemistry on screen matched their real-life passion, and the pair became one of the most talked-about couples in both movies and celebrity magazines. However, like many Hollywood relationships, theirs was complicated. Even though they cared deeply for each other, their different personalities and the pressures of being famous created problems. After 4 years together, the couple officially broke up in 1980. But their connection stayed strong enough that they continued an on-and-off relationship until 1982, when they finally ended things for good. Reynolds especially would later talk openly about his lasting love for Field, often calling her the one that got away. For Field, even though their romance didn't work out in the end, it was an important and life-changing chapter in her life, one that shaped her personal journey, as much as it influenced her career path. In 1984, Field decided to take another step toward building a family life when she married her second husband, film producer Alan Greisman. This marriage marked a new time for her, and together they had a son, Samuel Sam Greisman, born in 1987. Unlike his older half-brothers, Sam chose a career mostly outside the Hollywood spotlight, though he has tried writing and directing, making his own path. Field has often spoken proudly of Sam, and has also been publicly supportive of him, especially when he came out as gay, with Field becoming an advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, showing the deep bond she shares with her children. Despite their efforts to build a lasting marriage, Field and Greisman eventually divorced in 1994. While the breakup was definitely difficult, it reinforced a theme that kept happening in Field's life: her amazing ability to bounce back and balance personal challenges with her ongoing professional success. Throughout her marriages, relationships, and role as a mother, Sally Field has always shown that her private life has been as rich and complex as the characters she has played on screen. Each chapter, from her early years with Stephen Craig to her exciting romance with Burt Reynolds, to her marriage with Alan Greisman shaped her not only as an actress but also as a woman who embraced love, went through heartbreak, and ultimately found happiness in her role as a mother to three sons who show her creativity and strength in their own special ways. At 78 years old, Sally Field has lived a long and amazing life, filled with personal victories, heartbreaks, and a career that has earned her a lasting place in Hollywood history. In recent years, she has reached a point where she thinks back on her life and feels more comfortable sharing honest truths about her life and the people who touched it most deeply. One of the most surprising and emotional things she shared was when she talked about her relationship with the late Robin Williams, the brilliant actor and comedian whose presence both on and off screen left an unforgettable mark on people of all ages. In her own words, Field admitted just how complicated her feelings were toward Williams. "I really loved him, but it wasn't like a romance. It was more complicated than that," she revealed, opening up about the way their lives connected, both professionally and personally. Their paths crossed most memorably on the set of the beloved 1993 movie Mrs. Doubtfire, where Field played Miranda Hillard, the ex-wife of Williams' character. For millions of moviegoers, the chemistry between the two was obvious. They argued. They joked around. And yet underneath it all there was a caring that felt real, almost too real to just be acting. Field confessed that this closeness was not just acting. It showed the deep and layered friendship she had with Williams during that time. But Field also said that her feelings were mixed with sadness and regret. "I miss him terribly, but I also know that I didn't always say the things I should have said when he was alive," she admitted, with touching honesty. This kind of openness is something Field has embraced in her later years, speaking openly about the guilt that can come with losing someone too soon. For her, Robin Williams was not only a co-star, but also a friend with whom she shared a rare kind of emotional closeness, even if it wasn't the traditional kind of love story people often expect. She remembered how working with Williams was like stepping into another world. His mind was lightning fast, filled with endless ideas, jokes, and bursts of energy that could leave everyone on set breathless. Robin was exhausting in the best way. Field said he would make you laugh until your stomach hurt. And then just when you thought he couldn't surprise you anymore, he would say something so sensitive, so tender that it would break your heart. For her, that was what Williams was like. The funny guy and the deep thinker, the whirlwind and the calmness, all wrapped into one person. Yet beneath the joy, Field admitted she always sensed an undercurrent of pain in Williams, something that made her want to protect him. "I could see the sadness, even when he was making everyone laugh," she explained. "He wore it like a shadow, one that never quite left him." Looking back now with the wisdom that age and experience bring, Field wishes she had reached out more, tried harder to help ease that burden. She said that sometimes she wonders if he ever truly understood how loved and cherished he was, not just by the world, but by the people who stood closest to him. Her thoughts about Williams weren't just about sadness, but also about being thankful. "I'm so lucky that I got to know him the way I did," she said softly. "He wasn't just a genius. He was a deeply human soul. And I think that's what people saw, on screen. Someone who could make them laugh and cry within the same breath because that's who he really was." For Field, Robin Williams remains a reminder of the delicate balance between light and darkness, and of the importance of saying the things we often hold back until it is too late. Now at 78, Sally Field has decided she no longer wants to hold back. By finally sharing these truths about Robin Williams, she is not only honoring a friend she loved, but also offering a lesson about love, honesty, and how quickly time passes. Her words serve as both a celebration of Williams' brilliance and a heartfelt confession of her own unfinished conversations with him, a reminder to all of us to speak our truths before the chance slips away. In her honest memoir, Sally Field opened up about a deeply vulnerable chapter of her life, revealing that during her late teenage years, she went through what she described as severe depression. This was not a short-lived sadness or a temporary struggle, but rather a deep and overwhelming emotional weight that affected nearly every part of her life. For Field, these years were marked by an inner chaos that she often could not explain to others. And like many young people at that age, she felt alone in her suffering. The pressure of trying to discover who she truly was, combined with the insecurities and uncertainties that naturally came with the transition from being a teenager to becoming an adult, created a perfect storm of emotional pain. Field explained that her depression came with what she called this urgency, this anxiety, this need to find something that was festering in me. Those words capture the restless energy she carried inside herself, as though she was searching for an outlet or a way to express emotions too big to contain. It was not simply sadness, but a gnawing feeling of incompleteness, a sense that her spirit was pushing against invisible walls, yearning for freedom, clarity, and purpose. The anxiety she mentioned often showed up as endless questioning of her own worth and identity. It was as though she knew there was something important waiting to emerge inside her, but she had no map to follow and no guarantee that she would ever discover what it was.